Hello everybody and welcome to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, guys, we're going to be exploring a big trade for the Toronto Blue Jays. If they went out, if they did this would be the blockbuster of the off season. Juan Soto, you know him, you have heard of him. He is a star in the MLB. We're going to be looking into the potential of potentially going after him, considering we've had all of these Bo Bichette rumors recently. We've had people come out and say the Toronto Blue Jays are going to do something big. This would be something big, guys. We're going to look into the potential of that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. So we can't take full ownership of this thought experiment of trading for Juan Soto because it actually came out in an article recently looking at the pros, looking at the cons of bringing in a superstar like Juan Soto.
Yeah. Shout out to Yahoo Sports right here who has the article. Saying why the Blue Jays should or shouldn't pursue Padres star Juan Soto, because obviously you want Juan Soto, you want great players, but it comes at a cost, right? When you think about back when Juan Soto was first traded from the Nationals over to the San Diego Padres, you had a huge package go the other way to Nationals. You had 3 top prospects, and then you had 3 already MLB players that could be slotted into their lineup. So now that was only with 2.5 years on the contract, but now you're looking at Juan Soto. He's got still 1 year left on a deal, but you're still imagining you're going to get a big return for Juan Soto if you're the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, it's definitely going to be a lesser extent at this point because you have less control, but there's also that juicy prospect of potentially extending him if you do trade for him, right? And every team wants the opportunity to be able to sit down with Juan Soto exclusively in a room for 8 to 10 to 12 months and be like, hey, dude, can we get an extension done, right? That is in itself something that is very valuable, on top of the fact that he's going to come in and he is going to mash. And we don't need to spend too long talking about what it is that he would do for your team, but he is absolutely phenomenal, as you all know. Just flashing over to the Baseball Savant page right here. I mean, we're looking at basically everything is in the top percentiles, you know, barrel rate, home runs, all of it, right? He is always phenomenal. This guy has literally never missed. I think his worst year ever was 2022 with an OPS of 853.
Literally.
That is his worst year ever. And if that's the floor, like, his floor would have been the best player on the Toronto Blue Jays last season. So it's just such a game changer to have a guy like this come onto your team. So obviously, I think we can both agree we would want to have him on the Toronto Blue Jays.
For sure. But at what cost? And that's the big point that I kind of want to address in this video is, you know, yeah, of course, you trade for Juan Soto, you slot him to left field, Varsho goes over to center, boom, bap, you found your power bat, you found your literal superstar, and you don't have to worry for the Toronto Blue Jays. But you do have to consider, you know, our prospect pool is already starting to thin out quite a bit. I mean, you do have some guys in the top 5, right? You have your Ricky Tiedemann, you have your Orelvis Martinez, you have your Numala, excuse me, I can't even read right now. And then you got Barrera and then Barger. So there's guys there, but compared to the rest of the MLB, it's definitely not the best prospect pool. So you're already giving up, you're going to have to give up your top guys, probably Ricky Tiedemann, probably an Orelvis Martinez in some sort of deal. So you're basically saying, okay, we're buying in this 1 year, and then you have to consider, okay, well, you got Bo Bichette and you got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming up in the next 2 years. They're going to need contract extensions, and if you don't do that, if you can't get Juan Soto, you don't have any guys to come up and fill them in your prospect pool. So you're looking at a win now or win never situation.
Well, it is really a, you know, we're putting all of our chips in the middle of the table. Now, to those contract extensions point, I will say that if you trade for Juan Soto, I think now your top priority is extending Juan Soto, right? That is what it is. You know, I mean, we're going to worry about Bo and we're going to worry about Vlad later, you know, like if they can get paid, phenomenal. But if not, I mean, like this guy with an 850 floor of an OPS, like this is our top priority. So I think in that regard, like that's okay. I would be concerned about the idea of, yes, giving away so much of our farm system because, as you guys know, the Toronto Blue Jays have been doing it for time now, the past few years. You know, we really haven't seen any of our top prospects come up. We were talking about this a few weeks ago. The last guy that the Toronto Blue Jays brought up in their top 5 of their prospect list who really made an impact, that was Alek Manoah, and that was 3 years ago now. So we have not really seen the impact of having a prospect system other than using it to trade away. So yes, part of me wants to hold on to those guys, wants to keep them, but I will also say this. I do think that Juan Soto is a future Hall of Famer. I think that he could be a generational talent.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can engage the San Diego Padres enough to even start having that conversation for trading away guys who are not MLB ready yet for legitimately a potential Hall of Famer, I think you need to entertain those calls.
Whoa, time for your daily Betway Breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Absolutely, and you need to actually sign the dude. Like for me, it's the same crap that we talked about with Jose Barrios way back when. Like when we made the big deal, we sent away 2 of our top prospects, our top 5. And we're like, okay, well, this is great, but I think we need to sign him because 2 years is great, but not the value that we're giving up at. Granted, Jose Barrios, Juan Soto, very different caliber players, but I still think you need to actually get that extension in the works if you were to make it happen. Because then you have this 1 year window, and then what? He's gonna walk, and then what happens, right? Then you're forced to your hand to sign a Vlad, is forced to sign a Bo, and if you don't, then it is rebuild city. And that is, you're really pushing all the chips in the middle. And it's tough to do that when you've seen a Toronto Blue Jays team not be able to go out and win any playoff games. Is Juan Soto going to be the difference maker? He might be. He might be.
Yeah, he might be.
There's a lot. He might very well be, right? But there's a lot of factors you also got to consider, right? Like our rotation, where is it going to live up to that standards? Because you also got to remember, like, we really played over our expectations with that rotation and that bullpen. So, if you're really pushing all your chips in, spending all your assets in this one area, are you going to be able to address the other areas of free agency trades? You know what I mean?
I would imagine, though, yes, we overachieved in the pitching side of things last year by a vast margin, but we also underachieved by a vast margin in the offense. So I would imagine that you're going to see a little bit of a balancing act go on between both of them. The offense is going to get a little bit better. Are we going to be the best pitching in the league next year? Probably not. But if both of them can kind of level their way out, that is and should still be a playoff team. And then if you add Juan Soto into that, then holy shit, like this team could go a long way. Now, I do want to just flip onto the Padres side of things because recently, with all of the Bichette talks, I mean, one of the biggest critiques that we had about this Bichette trade rumors was that nobody was factoring in the Toronto Blue Jays. So on the Padres side of things, for those of you who are going to comment, well, we would need to trade away Bo, or we need to trade away Vlad, or one of those guys to get a deal like this done, I will say, from my research, that's not actually what the Padres are looking for. They do want the prospects. They have so much money right now that it's just like locked in. They actually cannot do anything, and they lost 700 innings. 700 innings into free agency. That's literally starting pitchers, Blake Snell, multiple other guys going to free agency. They don't have anymore. So I would imagine that our pitching prospects, and that's the scary thing, our pitching prospects, aka Ricky Tiedemann, that would be very appealing to the San Diego Padres. So Ricky Tiedemann would be they would be over the moon for a guy like that.
Ricky Tiedemann, Rovis Martinez, that might get the job done.
Yes, it would. I do think that would get the job. In fact, that might even be an overpay from the Toronto Blue Jays. However, Juan Soto is Juan Soto.
Exactly, right? And you look at the Padres, too, to comment on that. Like, the last 3 seasons, they've missed playoffs twice, right? And that was in their window, their quote-unquote window. And then you had Juan Soto come over for 2 of those seasons and only make it that once back in 2022. So clearly whatever you're doing is really not working. Yeah, for the Blue Jays, we're not winning any playoff games, but at least we're going to the dance.
We're making it a little bit further than you guys are.
Exactly, right? So for them, it makes more sense for rebuild. We've always said on the Blue Jays Today show, like, hey, if we don't make playoffs, then the conversations of rebuild the next couple of years, that becomes more realistic. But with them, they're exactly in that, like, reality, right? So I think it makes a lot more sense for them to trade Soto versus the rumors recently with the Bo Bichette and Blue Jays.
Yeah. So ultimately, let's kind of, lock this one in and give our final thoughts on this. If you were faced with a decision right now, it is one of our top prospects. Maybe it is Ricky Tiedemann and, one of the other top prospects. And Juan Soto is on the table right now. You don't know about the extension yet, but you obviously have the potential for an extension. Is that something that you would smash the accept button for?
If it's Ricky Tiedemann and someone else,
Nimala, let's just say, right? That's not what I'm throwing out right now. We don't know if that is what it could be. It might have to be an MLB ready player. Tough to say.
You know what? I've always been a believer in this. As more and more I go into sports, you always trade prospects for Hall of Fame caliber players.
Right.
No matter what the kind of year or what kind of contract they have left or whatever. You always want to trade that and then figure it out later when you cross that bridge. Go make up that Ricky Tiedemann depth in free agency, right? Go make another trade in the offseason to make up for that. Because if you have a chance to get Juan Soto and that's all it takes to me to hit the smash button, I think you got to do it.
Well, there is no sure things in sport at all, but I would argue that Juan Soto being good in 2024, that is maybe the closest thing that you can get to a sure thing. You know, so if there's any possibility that the Toronto Blue Jays could get that guy, sandwiching him between Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., getting that power, contact, just incredible lefty hitter, that takes us to the next level. So I think I'm on the same page as you, man. It would suck to see those guys go, but this is a special, special talent, and if there's any way that you can get it done, get it done.
Yeah, and again, with that extension, that's got to be on the table. It's going to cost you. They were comparing on that article Mookie Betts Trout area, so $350 million to low $400 million. You're looking at that $400 million mark. It's going to cost a lot, but if we're in talks with Ohtani, I think we were very well able to do it.
Look, they said they want to do something big. That is something big. Folks, let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Is Juan Soto a realistic trade target for the Toronto Blue Jays? Is it a trade that you would like them to do? We want to know your thoughts down below.
Yeah, guys, $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members and to our YouTube members. You guys are absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go!